Hi, I'm Rich Miller. At Virtua, we believe citizens need to be informed about the important healthcare issues affecting their lives. That's why we're proud to support healthcare programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Activists in cooperation with the American Medicine Chest Challenge, Virtua, New Jersey Manufacturers, Cohn Resnick Accounting, Tax and Advisory, where forward thinking creates results, New Jersey Natural Gas, proud to support education in our communities, and by the law firm of Gibbons PC.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato. It is our pleasure for the first time to introduce Mr. Carlos Medina, chairman of the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in the great state of New Jersey. Good to see you, Carlos.
Pleasure to be here, Steve.
You're here to talk about the fact that the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, there's been some challenges signing up those who are, in fact, Hispanic citizens, but also businesses, right?
Yes.
Because?
Part of it is a language barrier and a fear of knowledge of the program, kind of a big brother fear. What are they doing? What does it mean?
They being the feds?
Yeah, the feds, big government. So we have partnered with an organization called Small Business Majority. We've been doing webinars, we've been doing on-site workshops just to try to educate people.
In Spanish or English?
Both. We make sure we do them both in Spanish and English.
Okay, so let's talk about businesses that happen to be, because, by the way, your organization, describe it before we talk about the businesses.
Sure, founded in 1989. We're the voice of the 70,000 Hispanic-owned businesses in New Jersey. They contribute $10 billion annually to the New Jersey economy.
Okay, so small businesses. Small business, they have all kinds of challenges just by the nature of being a small business. But the law says that if you have more than 50 employees, you must do what?
You must have some sort of health coverage for them.
Okay, so if a business does have 50 employees, that business happens to be, I don't even define a Hispanic-run business. I mean, like, at what point is it?
51% is of an individual of Hispanic origin running the business.
Do you believe there are certain unique challenges that those kinds of businesses face that others who may not fall into that category face?
Sure, there's the language barrier, and they're usually a first or second generation business, so they may not have the mentors that a mainstream business has. So that's one of the roles.
What do you mean by that?
Somebody that just could pick up the phone and call and say, how do I fill out this form? Tell me about what you did when you had an HR challenge. They don't have that same, Rolodex of mentors. So that's what the Chamber tries to be for them.
What do you do for them?
Really just help them through every step of the process, education, networking, access to decision makers. We want to be that mentor for them, personally, and with our we have 10 very prominent board members. They're all there available to answer questions to our members.
What's your story?
My story?
Yeah.
Son of a Cuban father, Puerto Rican mother. They met 60 years ago in New York. Got married, been married 60 years. Have a small business engineering firm, and I do this because I love it as a volunteer. I'm not compensated in my role as chairman, correct.
But how'd you get connected to the Chamber, though?
Daniel Hara recruited me about 8 years ago.
Excuse me? Who was that who recruited you?
Our founder, Daniel Hara, very prominent individual who deceased about 2 years ago.
Right.
So when he became ill and ultimately passed, it was almost like everybody stepped back, and I was the one remaining person willing to take on the challenge. I enjoy it. I'm passionate about it every day. Just so many good stories, positive stories. You hear a lot, the press, you hear a lot of the negative stories. I love hearing all the positive stories of the Hispanic businesses in the state.
What's the market like? What is the potential, what is the market, what is the potential market for Hispanic business in the state of New Jersey and in the region?
It's strong in New Jersey and the region. They're starting at a higher pace, probably 2-3 times the pace of general businesses are started by Hispanics, and even greater by Latinos. That's about 8 times.
Talk about that.
A lot of them come to this country, or they're overeducated and underemployed. So it's, do I work at a store for $10 an hour, or do I just put up my shingle and take a risk and do what I love? And those are the stories that really empower all the membership, is hearing those success stories.
Think about this. When you see women and men who happen to be Hispanic, Latino, Latina, who have accomplished great things, not just professionally in their field, but have become brands, who have become entrepreneurs, how inspiring are they and motivating are they to others who may not ever reach that level of a J-Lo, if you will?
Sure.
But, I mean, you don't always have to work for someone else.
Correct. It's very important, and we have an annual award luncheon, and that's where we feature 5 to 7 of those type of individuals. LaGoya is always a proud member, and we always highlight them. There's companies like Northeast Construction. They do $100 million a year in sales as a construction company. There are a lot of New Jersey-based success stories, so it's important to highlight them so an individual comes in and can look to them as a role model and prove that they could do the same.
Going back to the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. And by the way, we're putting up the website, not just your website for the Chamber, but also the Affordable Care Act. Let's put up healthcare.gov. Healthcare.gov remains the official website, if you will. There are different enrollment periods, but you can always go to that website, folks, everyone watching on the public television audience and on file. So you can go to that website at any time to get information. Is it in Spanish? You go to the website, right? And you want to get engaged, and language is an issue. What do you do?
My recommendation, and I know
Sure.
they are a sponsor, but is to go to Horizon's website.
Go to
'cause they have
Horizon's
a lot
website.
of information. It's bilingual, and then they could, from there, go to the portal. But it
Folks,
gives a lot of good
go
information.
Finally, advice to those who say, before I let you out of here, Carlos, it's just so overwhelming, and maybe I don't really have to do this, and I could avoid this whole healthcare thing, you say?
I tell them it's a good thing. It's going to make you more competitive in attracting good talent. So do it, and if you need to come to a workshop, pick up the phone, call us. We'll walk them through the process.
It's worth it.
It is.
Payoff is?
Better health, better health care for everybody, lower cost for everybody. So it's good for business, and it's good for individuals. It's good for people.
Keep doing what you're doing. Carlos Medina is the chairman of the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey. I want to thank you for joining us.
Great.
Don't let
Thank
it
you
be the
for
last
having me.
time. Appreciate it. Stay right there. One-on-one will continue right after this.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Tomas Gregoria is a Senior Executive Director, Healthcare Delivery Systems, New Jersey Innovation Institute at NJIT. Good to see you, Tomas.
Good to see you too.
By the way, what is this operation, the New Jersey Innovation Institute? What is it?
So it's a separate company spun off of NJIT to change how you innovate on certain company products, on certain networks, and I happen to be the executive director of the healthcare domain.
For example, give us a concrete example of what you do and why folks watching right now would say, hey, that's fascinating, I want to know more.
Right, so in 2009, there were two large programs that created two networks. A network of providers. There was $36 billion invested in changing doctors' offices to electronic systems. So
Electronic medical records?
Correct. So then when you go there, instead of having paper charts, it's automated.
Got it.
Then there was another similar investment in creating networks of hospitals. So one of the things that our organization does is, connect the networks of hospitals, which happens to be 5 in the Newark area.
Is that called the Highlander Health Data Network?
That's correct.
The Highlander Health Data Network. So these hospitals are connected. Why does that matter to me?
Okay, so the better your record is complete, the easier it is to effectuate change on your health.
Which hospitals?
Newark Beth Israel, East Orange, St. Michael's, Jersey City Medical Center, and Middleland.
So hold on. I go to Beth Israel.
That's right.
One of my favorite. Not that I like to go. My dad goes there. Okay, so we go to Newark Beth. I go to Newark Beth, but I was at St. Michael's 4 years ago.
Right.
So what?
So what? That data is now available for that physician to make a decision on something that may have happened that was collected in terms of information about your visit at St. Mike's.
Is it medical information? Is it financial
It's
information?
medical information.
Just medical?
That's correct. Results of tests that might have been done while you were at that other hospital.
What impact could this potentially have on how I'm treated and the outcome?
Well, it helps the provider have an understanding on, your metabolic state not that long ago. We're working on a project where, if medications were prescribed to you and you're supposed to take 2 a day, right, for a 30-day period.
Right.
But when you refill it 2 months later, and you've taken actually 1 a day. Well, that hurts the regiment of your treatment and getting better. So by collecting that data in that exchange, we can actually make a difference when we intervene with you as a patient. The doctor can.
But why would NJIT, the New Jersey Institute of Technology, and your operation there, why would you be so involved in healthcare?
Well, it's one of 5 verticals that we're interested in. We're interested in innovation in finance, innovation in civil engineering.
Homeland security, defense, finance, healthcare. Why is it that technology and healthcare, homeland security, defense, finance, why all those areas?
Because they were areas that were found to have the greatest opportunity to effectuate change by virtue of having this innovative program that we can dominate each one of these sectors.
So, okay, just give us an example. I know we're talking about healthcare primarily, but when it comes to security and, say, homeland security, I'm fascinated by the whole eye recognition thing. Georgette, what's it called again? You said? Or face recognition.
Right.
Is there a difference between face and eye thing, or is that the same
there is.
thing?
It's ocular, and there's one that scans your face. There is a difference. Some of them have the ability to use both, but I looked at face recognition that's very much used in security and how a physician may be able to use it in healthcare. So we cross over to see how technologies that may be working in one area could work in another and affect it.
What's a
much better.
login?
What's a login?
A doctor logs in. What does that mean?
So a doctor goes up to a computer, puts his name and number in.
Or her.
Or her. And then he has to do it to multiple systems. So imagine a doctor walking up to a computer and that happening for them just by recognizing their face. So these are the types of innovative things that we're trying to change to make it easier for them to be able to get that information to affect your health when they treat you.
How did you get into this whole thing?
I got into it as a way to pay for college many years ago, working at Presbyterian Hospital over 23 years ago.
But I don't understand, got into healthcare?
Yes.
So it wasn't technology that was driving you?
No, it was the mission of healthcare. I'm trained to take operational changes, use technology, and find ways to improve the overall ecosystem. I've been a consultant, I've been an administrator, and a chief information officer at a hospital. So I have a good understanding of what happens and what doesn't happen and needs to be fixed. So it's a very fulfilling job for me at this point in my career.
To what degree are pharmaceutical companies engaged or involved in cooperating?
They are very interested in the fact that prescriptions aren't refilled, because that means less revenue for them. So from a healthcare perspective, a clinician is very interested in you taking your medication, and the pharma companies are very interested in you renewing your prescriptions. So it's a symbiotic relationship that benefits
But that's good for them, but for consumers, don't we want to be driving costs down?
You do.
We're not that concerned about profits for them.
No, but it benefits both. But I'll give you an example. So there's discount cards that we can hard code into the computer so that when you go to the pharmacy, your copay may be lower. So those are all different ways that you affect and drive down costs.
This is fascinating stuff. Tomas Gregoria, Senior Executive Director of the Healthcare Delivery Systems, New Jersey Innovation Institute, tied to the great NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We got your face all programmed. Stay right back right after this. That was good.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
It's happening in suburbia. I mean, it's a new face. It's a new face of addiction now. Our kids are the new face of addiction. They're beautiful, handsome, you know, talented, right, creative, good families. The typical, your typical child. And they're dying. And they're dying
in vast amounts, grave amounts.
Too much.
Rapidly.
And, you know, we're losing too many kids. You know, and it's the same story, you know, with all these people in my group. They come and they share, and it's the same story, just that the names are changed. And it's a boy or it's a girl, but it's the same wonderful, beautiful children. And they're all they're all dying.
Powerful stuff. I want to reintroduce our friend Angelo Valente, the executive director of the Partnership for a Drug-Free New Jersey. Angelo, talk about what we were just seeing.
Well, Steve, that was a message from 4 moms, three of whom lost their children to opiate abuse. And unfortunately in New Jersey, every day 2 families lose a loved one to opiate abuse. We're at epidemic levels with this particular issue in the state. And these moms came together because they wanted to make sure that other moms, other parents, other family members were aware that this is an issue that affects everyone. An issue that affects people in suburbs, people in rural areas, people in wealthy communities, people in poor communities. And it's an issue that we all need to be speaking to our children about. So these moms are very brave, they're telling their stories, and they're also providing tips about what they missed, signs and symptoms that they missed, which were really crucial for parents. I know both of us as parents of teens and preteens, that there's so many things going on with our young people. But one of the things we all have to do is we have to take the time to look for signs, to look for problems that might exist. And if there are problems, we need to get help.
And let's talk about a couple websites. A couple websites up here now. The first one, talknow.com is?
Talknownj.com.
TalkNowNJ, I apologize. TalkNowNJ.com. What's that for?
That houses the video that we just saw, which is an excellent resource. We would advise that every parent spend 10, 15 minutes listening to these moms, hearing their stories, and I think that they're really eye-opening. The other thing that you'll find on this site is resources that are available. There's links to treatment facilities, links to counselors. So if you do have an issue, certainly you want to seek help. And finally, there's a test for parents.
A test?
It's a test. What
kind of questions?
Well, it asks parents to really understand the issue of prescription drug abuse. You know, that prescription drugs are and can be extremely and potentially addictive. And we need to make sure parents are aware of this, because not everybody starts their drug addiction, especially prescription drugs, by accessing medicine cabinets, by buying drugs from friends or buying drugs from dealers. Many people, many young people, start their addiction by receiving a prescription from a doctor for a sports injury, for other types of procedures that might have taken place, even dental procedures. So we need to make sure that parents are aware that some of these drugs are extremely addictive.
Well, where are they getting access to it? I mean, how are they getting it?
Well, one of the major ways that they're getting access is through the medicine cabinet. And at the Partnership for a Drug-Free New Jersey, with the cooperation of some of our partners, activists, and some of our other corporate supporters, what we have done is we have developed a comprehensive response to that, where we have a 5-step challenge called...
Is that the American Medicine Chest? We put that up right now?
Drugfreenj.org is a great site to visit for all of these resources. And what that challenge is to take 5 simple steps to help protect your home. The first step is to do an inventory, to know what we have in our medicine cabinets. Most of us have medicines that have been sitting there for years, and some of those medicines are very addictive. The second step is to make sure you lock those medicines, keep them out of the reach of children. I mean, the same way for many years we locked our liquor cabinets once our young people turned to be teens, we have to be considering locking those medicine cabinets, keeping them away from accessing. The third step is to dispose of your medicines properly. And if you visit our website, you could find a disposal site that's available to residents of New Jersey. We have over 100 locations where you can go to a local police department and dispose of your medicines that you no longer need or want. The fourth step is don't share your medicines, because medicines...
Do not share your medicines?
Absolutely not.
Someone says, wait a minute, you didn't use all those, I could use them. What's the problem?
Well, the problem is that those medicines are prescribed to you with a doctor, with understanding the ramifications of those medicines, and it's very dangerous to share medicines because you might be introducing someone to the issue of addiction. And we want to make sure that that's not the case.
Final point.
And final and most important, Steve, is we need to start dialogue with our children. We need to start discussing this issue. We need to start being honest with them about this issue and letting them know about how important it is and how this issue affects everyone. And we need to really, parents need to be aware that it's not something they could avoid talking about.
Speaking of being aware, the second clip, and I'd like you to help set this up, Ange. Steve and Elaine Pizicki, two leaders in this movement, not by choice. Talk about it, because we're about to see Elaine talking about, she's one of the four moms talking. Set this up. Why do they care so much?
Well, I think that they care because I think they feel that they don't want to see this tragedy happen to other families.
What happened to them?
Well, they lost a child to opiate abuse, and they tried and did everything possible to help their son. And I think that when Elaine speaks on this video, she talks about some of the signs that she might have missed and how she wants to make sure that other moms and other parents don't miss those signs. And early intervention is always important because we're dealing with a disease like any other disease. And with early intervention, you have your best success. And that's the message that we're delivering.
So these are four moms who care deeply, not just about their own children, but care deeply about your children, my children, which is why they've done this video. And this is Elaine Pizicki talking about, well, it speaks for itself. Let's go to the clip.
Some of the signs were silly little things. One day he was in the kitchen and he was scratching himself and he was itchy and he goes, "I'm so itchy," and I'm running to get the hydrocortisone. But it's a reaction from the opiates. They're so strong. And other things were just being irritable. When the heroin, which I didn't realize, we were all having dinner for my mom for her birthday, and he was at the table and he was nodding out like this. And then I was thinking, oh my gosh, he's so tired. Why did he go to bed last night? Well, he had to watch that third movie, and then he would talk like this, but then he would just start talking normal, and I didn't realize that nodding is really the #1 sign for heroin, opiates. And if I had known that, I would have known a little earlier that that's what he was doing.
How powerful is that, Ange?
Well, I think that as a parent, having another parent talk about the loss of a child is almost unbelievable and unreal, and we would never want to have anyone go through that situation. So the fact that these four moms came forward, the fact that they were brave enough to tell their story and share their story, I think really is a wonderful tool for all New Jersey families to use. And we would encourage people to visit the site, to spend that 10, 15 minutes listening to these moms, and to use that as a way to be able to identify potential problems. I mean, one of the things I think is important is we want people to rule out substance abuse. If their child and teen might be having any of these signs or might be experiencing any of these signs, we certainly want them to think about the possibility of substance abuse.
Do you think some parents who may even see some of the signs that Elaine was talking about, do you think some parents are reluctant, even if they see it, to deal with it directly and confront it?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things we unfortunately are dealing with is there's still stigma involved with substance abuse.
So they say, okay, I see, they go, hey, listen, it'll work itself out.
That's
you
right.
say?
Yeah, well, absolutely not. The substance abuse and the substance use is not something that will work itself out. A child who is experiencing these signs, is abusing drugs, needs help. And they need professional help, and
They are sick.
They are. It's a disease like any other disease.
That's right.
If you had a child that had a heart condition,
you wouldn't stand by and say it would work itself out.
That's right. And like all other diseases, there's going to be relapses. Early intervention is key. And we have to look at this particular issue like we look at any other disease, like diabetes, like heart disease, like cancer. I mean, if somebody has a relapse, you wouldn't expect them to not receive treatment or not get help. So,
but what is I'm sorry for interrupting, what is the connection, though, between prescription drugs and then you talk about heroin? I don't understand that connection.
They are opiate-based. And in New Jersey and throughout the country, there are many examples where young people might experiment with prescription drugs, become addictive, and then when those drugs dry up, they become very expensive on the black market. And the heroin is a lot less expensive.
It's cheap?
It's cheaper. It's much cheaper, Steve. And that's the reason why so many people turn from prescription drugs to heroin, because it provides the same sensation and it's a lot cheaper. And
the power of early intervention? Last minute, talk about it.
There's no more important message than if you do anticipate or you expect or you know that your child has a problem, to get help and get some support. And there are resources. There are school districts that have resources. There is the medical community that is available. There are counselors. And we know that that's the best way to be able to deal with this issue.
Kid pushes back and says, no, I'm good.
We think it's important that that you do everything possible to get that child help.
A few seconds left here, Ange. I know we're going to continue to do work together and partner our nonprofit in the world of public broadcasting and your organization. You remain hopeful?
Absolutely. There are positive signs out there. We just did a survey that showed that most parents in New Jersey are recognizing this as an issue, and they are discussing it with their children. So we're making progress, but we have to continue to be diligent with that message.
And there is no more important thing that we can do other than be a part of the effort to increase public awareness and keep putting up the websites for organizations that are out there doing it every day. And we're proud to be working with you shoulder to shoulder.
Thank you,
Angelo, and the Partnership for a Drug-Free New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One on One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One on One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Activists in cooperation with the American Medicine Chest Challenge, Virtua, New Jersey Manufacturers, Cone Resnick, New Jersey Natural Gas, and by the law firm of Gibbons PC. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger, powering NJ.com, and by NJ Biz, all business, all New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine.
Some things were never meant to be cut. That's why when you have knee replacement at Virtua, we don't cut the quadriceps tendon. Because when it comes to getting you past chronic knee pain and on with your life, it's what we don't cut that counts. Visit GotMyLifeBack.org today.